right, so what we're looking at is all the individual exercises that you just did. Now that you got some familiarity with them, what we're actually doing is just building a movement flow drill. Okay, so as we go, we start. This will be slightly different. We worked specifically the stepping for a single leg takedown. Okay, good single leg takedown typically also involves a turn. So we're going to do 2 with a turn. Okay, then switching into forward roll, up, back, backward roll, sliding into forward fall, switching into that technical stand up. From the technical stand up, the sprawl, okay, switching here, shrimp, shrimp, Granby roll. Okay, from that Granby roll we set back, and now zero momentum roll. Yeah, running out of space. And Ben's not actually up moving, so I'm like a million miles away. Okay, and then back into the fish flop. And you start again. Okay, so all together. All right, so now I'll have you stand and move around with me. Okay, so switching one. Sorry, that's how we did it to begin with. Switching with a turn. Forward roll. Backward roll. Forward fall. Switching, technical stand up. Sprawl. Switch. Shrimp. Shrimp. Grammy. From here, setting back. Zero momentum. Back into the fish flop. And back up. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we're gonna look at, so Ben on the ground, there's a couple things I'm gonna look at. So I guess I'll start with Ben standing, actually.
I can do it,
So a lot of times we'll start in here, but a thing that is more helpful is to start a kick to one side, okay? Because here I've got a lot of options to move, so he can move around, he can try to pass guard. If he manages to pass guard, the last thing I want is to be flat, okay? So even this, he doesn't have me yet. He still has to manage that I'm up, okay? So he can start using hands, stuff like that. He can start pushing, doing all this pressure. But I've got a lot of space to keep working, and that space comes from having one side up and not laying flat. If I go flat, so let's do it again, let's go flat. If I do it again flat, as he passes guard, I mean, I have ways to manage guard here, but as he passes, notice the change in pressure. If he starts to move in, he's immediately got the space that he wants. My ability to get out, I can still work. I'm gonna have to work a lot harder. Go ahead and take side control, something like that. Okay, so I'm already down, he's in a really good position. Okay, versus if I was up on my side where I can start to frame and kind of manage what we've got going, right? Does that make sense? Okay, and we're up. Okay, so that's what Ben is gonna do. So he's gonna stay, he's gonna work this side. So on the down, he's gonna try to work the side. What I'm gonna start working to do is start to manage feet. And what I wanna do is I wanna be heavy. Okay, so whatever side is closer, I wanna get this pressed down, and I'm kind of planking out over it, holding his legs pinned. And now I can walk up and set myself in, okay? So there's ways to pass, and we've done them where we're here and we're just trying to be fast. Right now, I'm gonna use more pressure instead. So making heavy, go ahead, don't let me have your guard.
Notice how I started to have to rely on my other limb.
Okay, makes sense? This is what we're doing. We're just gonna work. We're gonna try to use pressure to get the knees down. We gotta control the line of the hips and get across this hip line. And then we're working to side control. That's what we're gonna work on tonight is side control. So we'll work in guard, passing guard, and then side control. 3, 2, 1. You can put 2 on 1 if you want. You don't have to manage both knees. Okay, then it's about angles after that, right? So she's got strength in this and you're kind of planting right into it, right? So what if I move and change the angle? Does that make sense?
That actually got really good.
Good, just do the other side. She'll do the other side. That's how, when it feels the same, then you know she's got it. Good. As he's making that way into that side, if you want to switch sides, you can. So if you're in on this side, so you'll work mine, right? So if I'm in on this side and you start pushing down and you're working to this side, I can switch sides. I don't have to, because then I'm just giving you my back, right? So I'll use this option to get turned and then hopefully get knees back in, and you still need to manage my guard, right? So being progressive resistance, if the concepts aren't landing, then we want to build up to it. But as the concepts are landing, we want to build and go, okay, I don't want to just get used to giving you my guard. I want to work it out, yeah? And part of that is just know when you're giving your back. So you're thinking a lot about getting past them. I want you to focus specifically on getting it to the mat. So as you get over here and you kind of have that, use your posture and everything to get this knee on the floor. Right, so I'm gonna try to stop you, but there it is. Now, my ability to recover is so much less if you can get me down there. Right? So don't just think past, because past I can recover.
Check it.
Oh, no, I'm not going in your sleeve. Good. Another thing to think about as you work it, don't be afraid to work to both to one knee. So let's go again. So as you're starting to get, as this one starts getting low, but you're really fighting this one, just switch and plant on both. If this one gets back in play, just switch hands, move on. Cool, all right. So I'm gonna throw a couple more details at this and then we'll move into the next thing, but I just wanna throw a little more details on the guard passing, okay? So he's back. Obviously his strength comes from being able to keep a knee high, and the more it points up, the harder it is for me to get down, right? It needs to go sideways. So as I'm working, what I'm looking to do is get it turned sideways and pinned to the ground. So I can start in with this tight position, and maybe he just doesn't have a good guard and I come through, but he probably does, right? And we'll go ahead and work kind of this way. So things that I can do is start to work angles. So one is he's using this plant to make sure that it doesn't go down, because I can only go down as far as he can get on my hip. So I can walk my hip out and come back in, okay? If it's sturdy, and say he's not on my hip, it's just a sturdy position, okay? Then perhaps I can move to the side and push it over, right? Changing angles. Then you can experiment with all kinds of different angles. One of the things we dealt with, so he's gonna kind of feed what I'm talking about as we're working, one of the things that we dealt with is when they've got a really strong place here, but this leg's already mostly down. Well, nothing says that I can't work and put 2 on 1 so that I can get more pressure into that. Does that make sense? Okay, so now working past. Once it gets past, I actually want to make sure that as I'm in here, I'm not here where it's just strength. I actually kind of plank out so that he's going to hold up all my weight as I plank. Okay? Then I keep that pinned. I don't let it up. I don't come in here and let the pressure off. He'll just bring his knees back in. So I keep that pressure down and I can walk my way in. Pressure still on here until I switch. Yeah? From here, the situation I'm gonna work, so I'm gonna get this side control position. So I'm in, I've got kind of an underhook, I've got the neck wrapped. I'm gonna work a transition. So starting with this, sliding back, grabbing tricep, sliding through here. Now I'm gonna keep this, bring my side control even higher. Make Ben wear it. Nifty. So as I get in, if I get a good side control, then the mic can hear me. Okay, so as I'm into this position, taking tricep, I'm gonna sit through Kesa style. I have the arm, so it's Kazuda Kesa. Okay, now from here, step forward further, bring my hips back through, come in tight. So I've moved into a high side control. Now I can go ahead and take and pull in here. Pressure down. And that's what we're doing. Sir. One more time. All right, Ben's gonna point this at me. Double time. All right, so what I'm looking at doing is I'm looking at taking control work in the guard, and I'm gonna try to change angles to make this harder for him. I can feel the weakness this way. He's trying to fight that by keeping it up. So if it's weak that way, I can walk and push it that way. As I move in, I keep the weight on, staying low, switch into my side control. I'm gonna switch into the tricep, Kazuri Kesa position, so I come in really high. This is a position that sucks anyway. Then switching in higher, keeping all of that, staying in close. I can keep even my shoulder into this and press into it. It sucks. Yeah, maybe? 3, 2, 1. As you're doing this, right? So starting working this. If you cannot have a flat back, that's the best, right? So I'm working pressure. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. I keep this pressure. Come in. Now, I'll take your back if you want it. There it is. So the thing that I'm looking for is when I'm in here, yeah, here you go, you ready? Yeah, let's do that. So the thing that I'm looking for when I come into this side control is I've got a couple options. So first, I either need to get this knee in tight, okay, so that he can't get his knee in next to me, or I can drop my hip into that, because go ahead and try to get your knee in, right? So I'm just being heavy on the spot he needs. I can go heavy towards his head and come up this way, but that gives him different options when I'm in here, right? So one thing is I kind of see you having this spot, but you're leaving a lot of space here. So either drop it and be heavy, okay, or stuff a knee and go ahead and take, I'm calling kind of the crab position, right? Where I'm just going locked in here. Okay? Then I can work back, maintaining, and then keep that in here. Okay. Yeah? So just pin that hip. So you have different ways to feed that, right? So stay in. But as he locks that foot up here, okay? So you can either walk it back and press his knee down. So just walk your hips back and push his knee down, down, down. Not that knee, this knee. This is the knee you care about. That one's already out of your way. Okay, so start pulling this towards your hip. Yes, and then just putting weight in it like you're doing a push-up on it. See that? Now, if you can keep your arms straight and not let it come in here, now you can walk your hips up. So stay on that. There it is. If that's not working, the other thing you do is just start targeting the other leg. So if he's high on this one, you feel like he's got a lot of control on this, then go, cool, I'm gonna come over here. See how he follows it? And see how that starts to bring it down? Just some ways to play with that. I mean, we're problem solving now, and that's what I want to do more of, is give each other those things, right? I can't get past this. Cool, let's figure out how to get past it. All right, so now we move into the next thing. Okay, so here we go. Boop, 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 boop. So just working past, coming in, side control, working high, passing into side control. So a couple things that I have from here that I'm working in. Obviously I've got this shoulder, this sucks. This is where shoulder justice starts to become a thing, okay? So a thing that I can do, we're gonna start working on just some submissions. I can ride back to this. This especially works good if he starts to frame on it. Come in and push this down. Slide it to this hand. You're gonna come in, palm down here, come in and up and under. Oh, I already got it.
I mean, it's working.
Okay.
We're
From
good
here,
there.
typically what you're gonna need to do is pop the head free and pin it to your hip. Now I can set down and paint back. So I'm just trying to paint his hand this way. We'll try to go nicely like this. Okay, so right in and rocking back. Things that I can do from here is I can go ahead and instead of staying in this side control, I can drop my hip and roll back with it so I can use my whole body. Okay, so that's one way. We'll look at a couple things. From here, his escape can be to straighten this. I can follow it and work the straight arm lock. If he continues on past that, we can work into taking this here. Okay. So that's just kind of a series of attacking this arm. The other thing is when I come in, right here, when I'm in here, okay, taking this tight, if I make sure to maintain it, set it into my hip, set it in tight here. Then, as we're locking this, if I choose to, I can pull this back and walk through into the straight arm. Okay? So just a couple options that we can use to kind of finish this technique. All right? So let's kind of walk through that. 3, 2, 1.